hardened seat, I'll probably just end up having to do it on aluminum. Hey YouTube, finally back, got another video for you. Can anybody tell me or see anything wrong with this head? Well, just right off the top of your head, I guess. Valves look like they're a little different height, don't they? Oh, that's not good. Looks like the exhaust valve seat just came completely out. But I got this, I think it's a Little Wonder leaf blower. I think it's got like a 9 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine on it. But anyways, customer said it just quit running one day, so I went to start it and heard a clacking noise in it, and had no compression. So he is at first wanted it completely rebuilt. So I just pulled the engine off and pulled the valve cover off, and I noticed one of the push rods laying, just in here. That was what my clacking sound was, is the push rod just jumping up and down on top of the lifter. So I went ahead and pulled the head and actually took the whole engine apart. Yeah, that's when I realized that engine couldn't make a whole lot of compression with the valve seat out of it. So then I think he decided to get a newer model. So now he just wants me to put this back together and get it running as cheap as possible. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you how to do I guess you'd say temporary fix. I have seen these repairs last a long time, and I have seen them last not so long. I want to clean this head up, and I want to take this valve, I want to take the retainer and the valve spring, all that stuff out of here, and I want to show you what's called, I've always heard of it, it's called staking the valve seat. And it's whenever you, say if a valve seat's loose fitting in the head, what you'll do is I'm going to clean all this up, and I'm going to use my press, if it's tight enough, and press this valve seat back down in there and seat it back in. And then I'll take a real sharp chisel, and we'll go around the valve seat itself and just put a dimple, in several different places on it, and then do the same thing with the aluminum right around here. And what that'll do is, on the valve seat, it'll make the metal expand and become a tighter fit in the head. And then when you do it to the head itself, it'll make the aluminum do the opposite. It'll make it the same thing, but it'll squeeze and hold the valve seat tighter. So, like I say, it's a temporary fix. I consider it to be a temporary fix, but if you're in a pinch, or you just want to get rid of something, it should work enough. I think he's just wanting this to run enough to be able to trade it in for a newer model. So, alright, I'm going to clean this head up and disassemble it, and we'll get started. Alright, we got our head cleaned up now, so let's checking out the valve seat. It's a little bit crooked. I've tried to go ahead and just pry it out, but it just wasn't having it. I figured I'd probably do more damage trying to pry it out, so we'll put a little bit of pressure on it and see if it'll just straighten up and go down in there. I think it will, but we shall see. I'm going to try to straighten it up by pushing on this one corner just a little bit first. I could probably have driven this in with a hammer gently, pretty easy, but I figured since we've got the press right here, why not go ahead and just use that. Plus I figured if I drove it in with a hammer, I'd hear all kinds of bad comments. Alright, so let's see. This is about a 25-30 ton press, and we are pressing against a small aluminum head, so we don't want to get too carried away. piece of steel I'm using here. It's got a dent in it right where I'm trying to put this head, so we'll see if we can overdo it here in a minute and dump everything on the floor. Just got one corner or one side that I kind of don't want to go down. There we go, I believe we got it the time. You know, it's a really tight fit, which leads me to believe I'll probably go around it with a hammer just to make sure. But if you're wondering what could possibly make a valve seat fall out like that, most of the time it's whenever, usually whenever you shut down the engine, both valves are closed, and it'll hold. You have valve spring tension on both seats holding them into the head. Well, sometimes if the engine gets hotter than it should, then the head will expand, and so will the valve seat. But still, sometimes the engine will shut down, and the valve will be stuck open, and the valve seat will actually fall out of the head. So I would say that's probably what happened to this one. Alright, it was still up on one side a little bit, and I was afraid of putting too much pressure on it with the press, so I just took a hammer and a punch and just walked it on down. He went in fine, but that's actually it's actually a pretty tight fit. So yeah, I would say that most likely what caused it was, like I was saying, just a valve was the engine probably got overheated. For whatever reason, block cooling fins or whatever. And the valve probably, when the engine was shut off, the valve probably stayed in the down position. And, due to it just, the aluminum being hot and expanding, it probably just fell out. But we're going to go ahead and stake it anyways. We won't risk it. I'm also going to lap the valves. And, this valve looks like it's been a little warm, but we'll go clean it up on a wire wheel and lap it. It should be fine for the time being. I also already checked this for straightness. If you're wondering how to do that, if this was on a more critical engine, I would, probably get a micrometer out, and possibly even put it in here and put a micrometer on it and check it that way and stuff. But for this, what I done was just laid it on a flat surface, and if you roll it, let me get it in a shot here. If you roll it and just see if the valve head stays straight, and this one does, so it's in pretty good shape. So now let me go round up a punch, and I'll show you what I mean by staking the valve seat. Alright, let's see. I'll have to eventually get a taller tripod. This one's a little too short, but you can still see what's going on. But we got a punch with a real sharp end on it, and I probably have to end up sharpening this several times throughout because you want to stay sharp. Anyways, I'm going to stake the valve seat several different places, and then stake it a few times around the metal, and should keep her tight for the time being. Let's see, camera angle I'm sure is not the greatest. We'll work on that in the future. hardened seat, I'll probably just end up having to do it on aluminum. Which I know these are hardened valve seats, but these you can usually still make a dent in them to stake them, but this one is just very tough. And I'm afraid if I hit it much harder, try to make a dent, it'll probably just end up cracking or breaking because a lot of your hardened steel will kind of act more like glass than metal under extreme pressure. So all I want to do is I want to resharpen this because it's already broke the bit off my punch. I'll resharpen this and I'll just stake it around the aluminum of the head, and should be good. It's actually as tight as this one in here. It'd probably be fine just the way it is, but since it's apart, we don't want to risk it. So we'll go very close to the edge of this. Alright, that's about all there is to it. See my little ring of dots, and what it does is it just pushes the aluminum into the valve seat and just holds it a little bit tighter. So, alright, next we will, well, right now I want to go over here to the wire brush on my grinder. I want to clean these valves up, all the carbon deposit and stuff. Man, this thing looks like it's been running pretty hot anyways. Normally you'll see a black deposit kind of crusted on, but this is really white, and it indicates that this thing has been running pretty hot. So, you know, like I said, it probably contributed into the valve seat falling out of it. But alright, let me go clean these valves up, and we will lap them. So we got our valves cleaned up. They come out pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lap them. You can use a drill to lap valves. A lot of people will probably say not to, and the reason that you shouldn't, unless you do this, is because whenever you spin the valves, in a drill it'll wear out the valve guide. But if you use a little bit of oil, or I couldn't find my squirt can, so I'm just going to use a little bit of Vaseline. Then they'll be fine. Just make sure that the valve guide stays lubricated. So we'll start with the intake valve first, which is going to be the bigger one. You want to start with coarse grade and then go with fine. After that, it's usually pretty good, so I won't have to spend a lot of time lapping them. In a day or two, I'll make a video of putting the rest of the engine together. Alright, let's see. You also want to be careful whenever you chuck the drill onto the valve stem. Try not to be gentle with it so you don't scar it up. And also you don't really want to go under where the keepers go, the valve stem locks, because this part here actually goes into the guide and past the seal and stuff. So if you can kind of get away with burring the top part up a little bit, because it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, don't get me wrong, you still don't want to do it, but yeah, let's just say it'll be more forgiving if you scarf the top part. But we'll lock it on good and tight, and now we'll start to lap the valves. Now, I didn't check the intake valve for warpage or bendage, but man, this thing's vibrating a lot. I hope it's just the way I've got it choked up in the drill. I don't know, we'll have to check that out. Like I say, though, these valves aren't really that bad, so it won't take much to lap them. I can go ahead and clean. Now we'll go ahead and clean the coarse grade off this valve and off the seat, and we'll put our fine grit valve grinding compound on there and finish it up. But first I want to check the intake valve and make sure it's not warped. Shouldn't really have a reason to be warped, because the problem side was the valve or the exhaust, but never know. Funny things happen. Let's see. Must just be the way it was chucked up. I don't know. Weird, but anyways. I'll probably edit a lot of this valve grinding out, or lapping, I should say. Because I don't think many people like lengthy videos, even if they are educated. So I'll try to keep them fairly short. Just let me know in the comment section what you like. And also, I know it's not a big milestone, but you know, 50 subscribers is a lot more than I started out with, which was 0. So I'll probably be going to my other property here in a couple days where the dozer is at, and I'll probably end up having a little surprise for you all. A little fun video. That should be good. I'll show you a way to test for leaks also after this. I get all this done. Oh, it turned out beautiful. Oh, go figure. I'm not a brake clean. Well, anyways, you can see that process. I probably won't film doing the exhaust valve. But, yeah. Anyways, that's how you lap valves and repair, or do what I would call a temporary valve seat repair. I'll go ahead and post this video, put this video up. I'll have this head reassembled and in the next video, and we will just work on putting the engine back together and doing a clip of it running. So, you know, not anything. There's nothing special or interesting about the reassembly of the head. You know, you just collapse the valve springs, put your keepers on, all that good stuff. But alrighty, thanks for watching, and I will have another video up hopefully here in a day or two. So, alrighty, thanks. Please like and subscribe. See ya.